My wife followed her friend's toxic advice for 14 days and lost everything in one night. 14 days. 14 empty mornings where the bed felt too big, too quiet. She hadn't said a word to me, not hello, not goodbye, not even a glance. I stood in the doorway of our apartment, watching her move through the kitchen. Her hands shook slightly as she poured coffee, her eyes fixed on the counter. I knew that tremor. It wasn't fear of me, it was fear of herself. Fear of what she had become under the influence of her friends. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She didn't reach for it, not once. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in the silence. The air felt thick, oppressive. I wanted to speak, to break the tension, but I didn't. Instead, I watched. Her reflection in the mirror caught mine for just a second, a flash of guilt, or was it defiance? I couldn't tell. She looked like a stranger, her lips pressed thin, her jaw tense. And yet, there was a spark, some small fragment of the woman I once knew. I whispered to myself, 14 days. You think you can manipulate me. You think your little rebellion will cage me. You're wrong. The first hint of betrayal had been subtle. A hidden text, a deleted message, a too quick excuse. At first, I laughed it off. She's just stressed. But the pattern grew impossible to ignore. Lunch dates she wouldn't explain, phone calls that ended abruptly, small smirks when I asked questions she should have answered honestly. Her friends had planted the poison, and she had drunk it eagerly. You need space. You need freedom. You're suffocating in that marriage. Those words echoed in my head. Every advice-laden whisper had pulled her further away from me, step by step. I felt the shock slowly crystallize into anger, not outward, but cold, precise, like steel forming in my chest. My mind raced. 14 days. 2 weeks of calculated silence, a betrayal carefully orchestrated. I remembered the day I first suspected. She laughed at something on her phone. Not just any laugh. It was the sort of laugh shared between co-conspirators, secretive, knowing, excluding me. Denial tried to creep in. Maybe she'll come back. Maybe she's just confused. But the truth was unavoidable. Betrayal doesn't need a confession. It leaves traces. Tiny, unmistakable. I would find the truth. Every detail, every lie. And when I did, I wouldn't need to yell. I wouldn't need to scream. I would let the evidence speak. I began quietly, observing every detail, her routines, her phone, her subtle gestures. I didn't confront, I didn't react, I collected. Emails deleted too fast, text messages hidden behind locks, calls she claimed were work-related, stretching longer than they should. I followed her in a way she would never notice. Cafes, parks, random streets, notes scribbled in my journal. Each slip, each lie became a piece of a puzzle forming before me. I tested her. I asked about casual things, watching how her eyes flickered, how her body tensed. Every day I reminded myself, control the anger, observe, calculate, don't act yet. I even examined her interactions with friends, those toxic influences. How they laughed when she shared a story that twisted reality, painting herself as a victim of a life she had no one to blame but herself. At night, I replayed every memory. The way she held my hand years ago, the softness in her eyes when we first met, the promises whispered in the dark. And now? The absence, the betrayal. And yet, beneath it all, a plan began to form, a strategy, not to hurt her physically, but to expose, to reclaim power quietly, psychologically. I slept little. I watched more. I listened. Every whisper, every text, every half-smile became ammunition. The breakthrough came in a small, unassuming way. Her planner, hidden beneath a stack of papers on her desk. I almost didn't notice it. Each page meticulously kept. Meetings, calls, texts, excuses, lies. 14 days of betrayal laid bare in ink. I sat in silence, flipping through it, heart steady. No fury, just clarity. I waited for her that night, sitting across from her at the dining table. I laid the planner between us. "You've been busy," I said softly. Her eyes widened, scanning the pages. The realization hit like cold water. He knows. I, she stammered. I shook my head. "No, don't try to explain. I know everything." Her friend's influence had been strong, but here she was, stripped of excuses. I stayed calm, detached, controlled. And in that silence, she understood the weight of her actions. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I merely let the evidence speak. "You wanted freedom," I said, my voice low, precise. "You wanted independence. Here it is. Alone." She fell into the chair, defeated. The power dynamic had shifted. I held none of the anger she expected. She had betrayed me, now she faced the consequences. I explained calmly, showing her the subtle patterns, the lies, the betrayals. Each revelation hit her harder than anything I could have done physically. Her tears were silent. Her voice broke. I had regained control not with aggression, but with observation, patience, and intellect. "You chose this," I whispered. "You wanted advice over love, friends over me. You've lost it all, and there's nothing I can do to give it back." I walked away. She watched, powerless. The psychological impact was complete. The apartment was silent the next morning, but not empty. I poured my coffee. Warm, strong, my favorite mug. 14 days had tested her loyalty. And me. I had survived, clearer and stronger than ever. I stood by the window, watching the city awaken. The storm inside me had finally settled. I was free, emotionally detached, unburdened by the betrayal. She had chosen her friends, her advice, her rebellion. I had chosen clarity, patience, and power. Freedom is not holding on. Freedom is letting go. She remained behind, facing the consequences of her decisions. I stepped out, into the sunlight, unbroken, unbowed. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled.